Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani is not going to leave well enough alone when it comes to Ferguson. He, oddly enough, agrees with us that there needs to be a trial, but he disagrees about who needs to be put on trial. Listen to Rudy Giuliani in this next clip.
He came forward because he was so offended by the lies that were being told. You remember there were 4 witnesses who said that Brown was shot in the back.
Not true.
Which are total lies. If that's in front of the
one said that Officer Wilson was standing over him, shooting him.
Totally untrue. Again, disproven completely by the autopsy and the forensics. I mean, I disagree with the prosecutor on only one thing. I would prosecute all those people for perjury.
Wow, really?
Well, I mean, to testify falsely in a case in which you can put a man in jail for the rest of his life is an extremely serious
But you know
crime.
how unreliable eyewitness testimony is. I mean, I think his belief, according to him, is it's just unreliable. And so these people may believe they saw what they didn't see.
It's not unreliable. These are people who are friends of his. These are people who have an axe to grind.
Talk about an axe to grind. My goodness.
Well, they're both gleeful that he got away with it. They're so happy, so ready to defend him. That's the axe being ground. It's not unreliable. No, I know. You can always trust them. They must simply be biased against the cops.
That was Fox News?
That was Fox News.
Fox News,
yeah.
Owned by 2 foreigners.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure, I just want to reiterate that every time. It's not an American that owns that. It's a Saudi prince and a guy from Australia. Yeah. Okay.
You can be confused into thinking it's Dance Mom since she was dressed like a cougar from the 70s for some reason, but...
See, the problem with Giuliani is that he mixes in a little bit of truth, but he twists and perverts it for the worst way, in the worst ways. Because, yeah, he's right. You shouldn't bear false witness, and you shouldn't lie and testify and put innocent people in jail. But that's not what's happening. First of all, it wasn't a trial to determine
Yeah, there hasn't been a trial.
Darren Wilson's guilt or innocence. It was a grand jury proceeding. And as far as witnesses go, you're gonna, I mean, what you do as part of law enforcement is to cast a wide net and bring in all the different witnesses to say what they say. Yeah. And most often, they're unreliable, a lot of times. They say stuff that they think they saw or wish they saw. They're lying / not lying. It's hard to know, and you don't go after them for perjury. Okay, not in a grand jury proceeding. You let him go. Okay, he has no either Giuliani is lying about his understanding of the criminal justice system and its purpose, or he's a complete idiot who doesn't know anything about it.
Or both.
Yeah, or probably both.
Or he's a fucking racist. Let me point this out.
That almost certainly.
A part of what Giuliani said was he wants, when something is serious, is sending a man to jail for the rest of his life. This is a very serious crime to perjure yourself or to bear false witness. It wasn't his term, it was yours, Steve. So let me just give you a couple of instances of black people that were wrongfully convicted, not just avoiding the grand jury, the indictment. Just 5 people. Give me a couple minutes. Geronimo Pratt. He was sentenced to 27 years behind bars. Was that serious enough? And maintained his innocence for murdering a 27-year-old elementary school teacher. This is in 1970. They found out that the prosecution had concealed evidence that might have exonerated him. The prosecution held it back in the trial. So he's in jail for 27 years, later exonerated. It was Rudy Giuliani on that one. Barney Brown, he was 15 years old when he was convicted of rape and robbery, sentenced to life. Is that long enough? 38 years later, he was exonerated. Is that long enough? Anthony Graves spent 18 years on death row. He's going to kill his ass. In 2010, he was exonerated on the charges when the court found that the prosecution withheld information from the defense that elicited false testimony. He was later denied compensation because the words "actual innocence" weren't used in the ruling. Raymond Towler, convicted to a life sentence, is that long enough, for an alleged rape, kidnapping, and felonious assault of 2 teens in 1981. 27 years later, his sentence was vacated when DNA tests proved him to be innocent. What do you know? Last one. Jimmy Bain, he was 19 when he was convicted of charges of kidnapping, burglary, strong-arm rape, because black folks have the stronger arms. Maintained his innocence in prison, hand-wrote 4 motions in 2001 to have DNA testing. Those were all denied. He wrote a 5th one finally, and he was directed to have a hearing on the case. He was later given that permission. The DNA testing exonerated him after 35 fucking years in prison. So Rudy Giuliani When you're ready to go after all the prosecutors and the witnesses for Geronimo Pratt, Barney Brown, Anthony Graves, Raymond Towler, Jimmy Bain, and hundreds of other wrongfully convicted black people in the country, shut the fuck up. You are a liar. We see where your bias lands.
Yeah.
So you need to go home, get the fuck off of TV, because there's real things that happen in the world. And some of these cases are just off DNA evidence. We're talking about liars, blatant liars, prosecutors. Their position is to do things the right way. But he doesn't care about that.
In any of those cases, did they go after the prosecutors that knowingly withheld the information?
Those
I ask because we just have to say
prosecutors
it.
were promoted.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's ridiculous.
So JR, thank you for bringing that up. That's an excellent point. And these stories of wrongly convicted people, almost always poor. 99.999% of them are poor, and usually black. Usually black. These stories fill our prisons from coast to coast. And it's absolutely heartbreaking when if you ever get a chance to speak to one of them. I mean, your heart just crumbles because it's just disgusting what they go through. I mean, I get outraged when my wife tells me that I left the milk out overnight and I didn't, right? Like, don't falsely accuse me of that, right? Imagine being falsely accused of something like rape or murder, and nobody believes you. And your
friends and family don't believe you after a few years.
And I was speaking with one of these gentlemen. He was exonerated after 28 years. And he said one of the worst part of it all is that in every proceeding, it was the state versus him. Mm-hmm. All the paperwork said that, the judges would say it, the bailiffs would say it. It was always the state versus so-and-so.
Yeah.
And he said he just felt so small and everyone's against me. My entire state is against me. Society is against me. But I didn't even do it. And nobody would believe me.
Yeah.
And he is spending day after day just hoping and praying somehow this mess be straightened out. And then you just lose all hope.
Yeah.
And he's finally out, and he said one of the hardest things is trying to kind of reacclimate. Like
the world's totally different.
Yeah, he was put away when he was 17. So he never went to college. He doesn't know how to date. He doesn't know how to shop for groceries. And he said it's just such a painful reminder day after day. These stories fill our society, and we don't do anything about them. I mean, besides a few brave souls like the Innocence Project and other great people, I mean, people like Giuliani, fucking scumbag who asked people for $9.11 for donations when he ran for the president. People like that have the audacity to go on television and cry about poor Darren Wilson, who wasn't even indicted.
Yeah.
He wasn't even indicted.
Yeah.
He is an opportunist and a scumbag of the worst sort.
Yeah, he looks at that situation, he looks at the grievances that are being expressed by the Ferguson community, says that the thing that's been lacking this whole time is that black people in Ferguson haven't paid enough. And so we need to go in and we need to put more in jail. And by the way, like we've pointed out the obvious.
I just want to reiterate. It's mostly black people who get screwed like this, but it's not just black people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's everyone. That gentleman in Texas, I forget his name, he was falsely convicted of setting fire to his house and burning his young daughters to death.
And they killed him.
And they executed him. And he's white. And imagine the pain that he went through. He just lost his two daughters. Yeah. And now he's being blamed for their death. People are saying that he murdered them. And then to his last breath, he denied it. He maintained his innocence, and they executed him. And
perhaps we shouldn't kill people then.
Well, that's a whole different topic. But the point is, prosecutorial misconduct and injustice in the criminal justice system runs rampant. And this is an issue that plagues all Americans.
Yeah. Well, how about we go and we lock up some of them as an example for those who are going up through law school right now, who are becoming prosecutors, to know that if they tamper with evidence, if they hide evidence, then in 10 or 15 or 20 years, they could end up in jail too.
Giuliani doesn't want that. He doesn't want that.
No, he clearly doesn't, but I don't think it sounds like a bad idea.
So now, I don't think that the executive branch's response has been strong enough to this. I think it's lacked imagination. I think it's lacked backbone and spine. And I recommended this morning, like, why doesn't the president call a national conference of police chiefs and say we have to have a national standard? Mm-hmm. This happens every goddamn day. There was another kid shot on a playground by cops. Mm-hmm. What was he, 12 years old? He had a toy gun. They're shooting first. Mm-hmm. They're not returning fire. They're shooting first at kids.
Well, they shot that kid at the Ohio Walmart.
Yes. And he's carrying a gun that they sell at the goddamn store.
Yeah.
And they shoot. Nothing happens to the cops. So why? And so again, my anger's with power. Power would be Barack Obama and Eric Holder. Where is their? They have no imagination. They have no solutions to this. They don't have any ideas to try except to come out again and
Remain calm.
remain calm and castigate the people who are raging with anger, rightfully so.
Yeah. And again, I know you want to keep this as unracial as possible, but I mean we have to compare the two examples of just this year. You have the guy in Walmart, a young black guy who has a gun that they sell there. We've seen the videotape of what happened. The cops come in and immediately begin shooting at him. They don't say anything, they begin shooting. And yet you go across the street to Target and you see a group of guys in Texas walking around openly with their long guns saying, "Why the hell are you looking at me funny? This isn't intimidating. Why are you scared of us? We're just exercising our rights." And so, I mean, the idea that there isn't a huge racial component.
No,
there is a
huge one. There is a huge racial componment. My point is that
I agree with you on the
that
systemic,
white people have to be on board with this.
I agree.
And they should be on board because yes, it impacts you less than it impacts black people. But you're crazy. You're crazy for not on the side to stop it. I mean, this is an insane amount of injustice that's rampant through society with cops killing people all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. You know, there was a report that came out that said that this is just by self-reporting. This is local cops self-reporting to the FBI. Every week, 2 black men are killed by cops in this country, by white cops, not by other race cops. So there are multiple races of cops killing multiple races of people every single day. So
that's diversity.
Yeah.
That's the American
There
dream
you
right
go.
there.